So this is not really SEO. It's kind of search related. Google has a special logo up today for Nikola Tesla's birthday. Basically, he's the guy who invented invented electricity. He invented wireless electricity, not really wireless, but through what he calls the Tesla coil. It was back in, I think, somewhere in the 1900s or so, and early 1900s. He was born on July 10th, 1856. He passed away on January 7th, 1943, and today Google is celebrating his birthday, July 10th, with a special logo, Google Doodle, that has a logo of the coil that he invented. He basically invented electricity, which allowed computers, which allowed an internet, which allows Google to be what they are. The beauty of this, at least for my purpose, is that if you go to Google right now, google.com, you click on the Google Doodle logo, up comes the news items in the Google search results for the search Nikola Tesla, and what you see is the Search and Roundtable listed as the first result in the news items. What that is actually doing is returning thousands. I'd be surprised if I didn't close to tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of people who are actually going to the Search and Roundtable. Not only because I ranked number one in the news results, but because somehow when you click on the Google logo, obviously they have a search results for us. Google's actually encouraging people to search for this search term, and then since I'm number one, I'm getting tons and tons of traffic, tons and tons of comments. So that's pretty neat. Since we're on the search logo doodle topic, this past Saturday was July 4th, and a lot of the search engines had special logos up for the event. Google had a little picnic logo, Yahoo had an animated logo, AOL had an animated logo, Bing, You Ask, Dogpile, YouTube even had a little logo, and we had a logo at the Search and Roundtable. In addition to logos, we actually had a special logo, which I thought was pretty cool. It was basically like a Pac-Man logo, which celebrated Video Game Day, which was, I think, on Wednesday. Nobody really noticed that because they don't usually RSS feed, but people who did notice it were actually pretty into it. So that was nice to have. So that's really the logo talk. We'll get into real discussions after this. All right, so the big Google news this week was that Google announced they're releasing a operating system sometime in the second half of 2010, and it's going to be called Google Chrome OS. So Google Chrome is the Google browser, and they're actually releasing a lightweight, very, very fast operating system because they think they can do operating systems better than anybody, i.e. Microsoft. So basically, this is going to first go on to netbooks. It's not Android. They're being very explicit to say this is not Android. This is a total separate operating system. It will probably be put on a lot of netbooks in late 2010. Obviously, Microsoft is not really commenting much on this, but they didn't. One of their senior VPs did comment saying that this is a defensive play by Google to kind of make Microsoft think operating system when they really should be thinking search. So it's trying to try to some type of competitive defensive play by Google. I'm not sure if that's true. In addition, I did propose at Search and Land this morning that Eric Schmidt, Google's CEO, was not always interested in building an OS or even a browser, but Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the co-founders of Google, were actually very, very, persuasive over the past several years, actually 6 years, to push Eric Schmidt to finally say it's okay, and he only did that until after he actually saw a prototype of the Google Chrome browser developed by a Firefox developer that Google hired away from Mozilla. Next thing that happened this week, which was pretty big, was Yahoo finally launched their Yahoo Search Pad. It's basically something they announced in February that they're going to launch soon, and they launched it on July 7th or July 6th at night. And what happened was this tool basically allows people to do searches at Yahoo and then keep a collage notes of what those searches were. So it's basically a way for searchers to keep notes and assist them during their search business. And this way they could plan a trip, take notes about a certain legal thing they're working on and trying to investigate, or even to research different articles in order to write something and then store it all on Yahoo via the search engine called Search Pad. So it's a new thing you should probably try out. There's more information about it at SEOroundtable.com on July 7th. Also, Google this week actually announced that they're heading into the real estate business. This is not new. They had a way to search real estate listings in the past. It's just that they expanded it a bit more. So now if you go to the URL, I believe is maps.google.com/help/maps/real estate. Again, maps.google.com/help/maps/real estate. You'll be able to see a way to search Google Maps for real estate listings. You could actually filter those listings by location, from price ranges, low to high, additional like foreclosures, anonymous foreclosures, the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, the square footage, and stuff like that. It's pretty neat. Again, this is like all public data. This is obviously in direct competition with Zillow and other real estate search engines, but it's nice to have an extra one, and it's pretty cool. So definitely check it out. You want more links to this? July 6th at SEOroundtable.com. More recently, we reported that Google's scams, like people selling, Google Money Kit or Google something or another, where they're actually promoting themselves as being Google and telling them they could earn money by working for Google and by putting up ads and doing links to different sites. So this has been a big problem, and it's become even worse of a problem recently with Google, specifically in the AdWords results, where people are, these scam artists are actually putting up ads in Google AdWords, promoting themselves as being Google and earning quick cash for yourself. So a lot of people are getting sick of it, and all of a sudden, starting July 1st, a lot of advertisers who were participating in this event were actually getting penalized and banned from using AdWords. Their accounts have been totally shut down, which is pretty nice to see. This has started early July 1st, and Google's been sending out these emails, which I have a copy of on the SERoundtable.com, which we reported about on July 6th. So if you want to see a copy of these emails, July 6th at SERoundtable.com. But it's really about time that Google started getting rid of these people who are conning so many people into thinking that they can make money working for Google by putting up ads or doing links or doing whatever. And it's pretty bad, but now hopefully this issue will be resolved going forward. So we spotted another Google test. This one is very unique in that it's kind of like site links, but it's specific to forums, where typically what you have in a forum is, in a discussion forum setting, is that you'll have lots of top people who are asking the same types of questions over the course of several years. So somebody might ask you, how do title tags improve SEO of your site? And you'll probably have dozens and dozens, even hundreds of threads in popular forums about how the title tag and SEO relate. So if you do a search for SEO and title tag in Google, Google has to know which one to pick from that specific forum. Sometimes they do an indented result. They have the top and most prominent result from that website, and then an indented single result from the website as well, when two things are very relevant. But often in the case of discussion forums, there's literally tons and tons of results that are relevant to that search query. So what Google looks like it's been testing is showing multiple links, single line links directly. You have your main listing with a snippet, title snippet, and display URL, and then under that you'll have several links that are also related to that search query from that forum. So it's not only showing, Google's not only showing one result or two results with an indented, they're actually showing several results from the same site for a single search query, which is pretty interesting and unique. If you want to see a picture of this, July 7th at SERoundtable.com. So we cover a lot of forums often, and we often see a bunch of SEOs asking other SEOs for advice on either their own sites or client sites, or just different scenarios on what people think. We also obviously see webmasters asking for advice as well, people who are not SEOs. But often SEO forums are used by SEOs to help each other out and discuss things. So what we've seen, which is pretty funny and also kind of sad, recently there was a thread by... let me take you how this started. So a guy named Gary, who's an SEO from Manchester, UK, went ahead and posted a thread at Google Webmaster Help a couple days ago. He listed the site of his client who he's trying to help improve. In that listing, after a bunch of discussion, he actually said he doesn't believe that he could help his client. He said, "I personally don't think this will get their rankings back," and he's not sure if he could actually get them rankings back. What was funny was Mike, the webmaster of the website, who is potentially hiring Gary, the SEO, started a second thread the same day, a little bit later, after Gary started his thread, and he asked the same question. What we had was then another person who noticed both threads saying, hey Mike, the webmaster who owns the site, why are you posting duplicate threads? And Mike's like, no, I never posted this thread. That's actually my SEO who wants to charge me, $10,000 to implement something which he thinks that won't even work. So basically, again, the person who was hiring the SEO was basically upset with the SEO for saying, one, he's taking people's advice and using that advice and passing it along to him for a price when this person is getting this advice for free. Two, that he's actually potentially charging him for something that he thinks won't even work to help fix his rankings. So I personally don't think there's anything wrong with SEOs asking other SEOs questions, but if you're going to do it, make sure to do it so that one is like, so your clients don't really find out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But two, the main thing is, if you don't think you can help the client out, really, don't charge the guy. Don't charge the guy money. Don't charge the guy for something if you don't believe you could actually do something. Maybe refer to somebody who might be more experienced, who might have more experience in that area. But don't charge the guy $10,000 when you're not sure it's going to work or not. That's just wrong, especially if you get caught. So you might want to take a look at this thread. It's pretty interesting. July 9th at SEOroundtable.com. I often don't rant on the Search Engine Roundtable. I don't post, go off on tangents and say, hey, I hate this, or I love this, or whatever. I post other people's criticism about different things. So in this case, I was able to actually take personal and discuss with certain things that I've noticed, specifically because somebody else was having a problem with it as well. So again, this was mentioned at Google Web Search Help, and this is about specifically how certain sites will hide content. Let's say you search specifically Expert Exchange. If you do a search, and I did several searches this week, and I saw Expert Exchange results come up in Google. And the thing with Expert Exchange is that they'll hide the answers. So what I did was, recently I did a search for IMAP Outlook folders because I had a question about how to do something. Up comes this expert-exchange.com with supposedly the answer to my question. But when you click on the result, you see the question, and then you see, to see the answer, you have to log in and pay us to register. Supposedly, later on, I learned that if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it will show you several of the answers for free. But that's really, you got to scroll until your finger falls off. I didn't even notice those things were there until later. It's basically some type of cloaking without the actual cloaking because they're actually showing it. But it's just really annoying. It's like having those review sites that have no reviews show up for product name review. And Matt Cutts from Google actually said he's getting rid of those results, which I think he's been working on. His team has been working on. But at the same time, why should answer sites that are hiding answers or don't have the answer show up, even if they're actually showing the answer all at the bottom, but it's not clear to the searcher what that information is? I personally find that to be a little bit deceptive, and it personally annoys me a lot to see such search results in Google or any search engine. I titled my next post, Google makes it faster to find pornography. What Google did recently was they made a little change to Google image search, which allows you to quickly toggle the safe search filter. The safe search filter basically allows you to turn off safe search, leave it on moderate, or put it on very strict so you don't see any adult or pornography pictures. So by Google doing that, it made it a little quicker to actually change that. What I didn't discuss in my post was something that I wrote at Search Engine Land today on Friday, July 10th, was that Google actually added another link to that today, which allows people to report images. So you click on Report Offensive Images, changes the page, lets you select all the images that you want to report, and then you click them off and it'll say Report these selected images. It's pretty interesting. It's nice to have this new feature. It makes things a little bit faster, plus it makes reporting images a little bit faster as well. Often I see in the Google discussion forums people complaining that their web history doesn't match up with their actual search history. So Google basically allows people to look back at their Google web history to see what they've searched for in the past. And that's a very useful tool. But sometimes it can come back to bite somebody. We reported several times, we actually reported once that a mother or father or some parent actually caught his or her son searching for porn because up came pornography search terms in their search history, and the only other person they have in the house who's actually able to use that computer was their child. But every now and then I see people who are complaining about things where their search results don't match up with what they searched for, and they're positive they did not search for it. I always wrote it off to say, hey, either somebody else is accessing the computer, or two, they left their computer, their Google account logged into some other third-party computer, or somebody else has their access to the Google account. But it's not always the case. There was something that pretty much convinced me that there are cases where Google accounts' search history actually get mixed up. And we have a post from somebody who posted back in January of this year complaining about it, and he actually came back in to tell us that sometimes they do get mixed up, and a Google product manager called him, had a conference call with him, and then asked him a bunch of questions, said, all right, we'll look into it. Never called the guy back, but a day later, his search history was cleaned up and only showed him his search history and not somebody else's search history. So I guess this could be happening where people's search history actually combines. Is this a privacy issue? Is this some type of security issue? Should you be worried? I'm not exactly sure, but I do definitely discuss this. Today I wrote about it, July 10th at SEOroundtable.com. So definitely take a look if you're concerned, and you can learn more about that at Searching Roundtable. So I discussed earlier how much traffic I'm getting from Google because I'm listed in Google News because Google hyperlinked their Google logo to the name Nikola Tesla, and up came the first news result, which was mine. But Microsoft Bing is gaining market share according to some. According to some, they're not. You got to really look at those numbers. You have to look at them very, very detailed. You can't just look week to week or month to month. You got to look at the overall pattern by several different providers. Anyway, that's another topic. But Bing is actually definitely getting a lot of publicity. They're definitely getting a lot of exposure. And to be listed in Bing News, Microsoft's news engine, is also something people want to do. So there was a thread over at the Bing community which discusses this, and Brent Young, who's the Bing Webmaster Central guy, he basically said to get listed in Bing News, you have to send an email over to bns@microsoft.com. I guess that's Bing News support at Microsoft.com. So bns@microsoft.com. Send me your details. Hopefully you'll get listed. I don't think Searching Roundtable is listed. We're listed in Google and Yahoo. So I went ahead and submitted an email to them. If you want to submit an email for us to get us included as well, B as in boy, N as in Nancy, S as in Sam at Microsoft.com. Again, Bing News support at Microsoft.com. To end off, we really don't talk much about Michael Jackson. Obviously, he passed away a week or so ago. There was the memorials this week. He's changed music supposedly forever and ever, and he did make a big impact. He was probably one of the most famous people in the music industry ever. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy about him, but something about specifically search related to him. If you do a Google search, I'm not sure if this is still the case, but if you do a Google search for the ugliest person in the world, and it is still the case, up comes the first picture in Google Web Search is a picture of Michael Jackson for ugliest person in the world. So a lot of Michael Jackson fans are pretty upset with this, especially if they're hardcore Michael Jackson fans. And it's pretty interesting. Google obviously has a policy that they won't change their search results no matter. Typically for things like that, for things where it's not like, let's say, a violation, it's basically people's opinion, and they're not going to go ahead and change those search results. And obviously with the popularity of Michael Jackson and people searching for Michael Jackson plus those pictures matching his name, that's why it comes up. So if you do have problems with it and you want to learn more about this, July 8th at SEOroundtable.com. And that's pretty much it. So take a look at that. All right, so thank you so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. Again, my name is Barry Schwartz. This is the news we covered over at the Searching Roundtable at SEOroundtable.com for the past week. Again, today is July 10th, Friday, and hope you guys enjoy this show. And we'll tune in next week for the next edition. Everyone, have a great weekend, and see you next week.